Hello, 7Es and receiving students. Thank you. Take your seat. Receiving students and 7Es, before we go into our lesson for today, we will correct the exercise that we did in our previous lesson, which we did not correct it. We will do that as a recapping part of the lesson. Now, receiving students, on the board or on the screen, I have the coordinates of the following exercise. I will have 4 students to come up to the board and plot the coordinates on the board, and then they will then join the points. So, can I have 4 students on the board? Receiving students, if you don't have the chart on the board, you can observe what the model class are doing. Let's have Jubilee. We have Evelyn, Joshua, and Glenda. Okay? Jubilee, plot the coordinate A. Okay. Let's have Evelyn for B and Joshua for C. B, -1 and +4. C, Joshua, -1 as x-axis and y-axis. C, Joshua C. And Glenda D. Okay, Glenda, not something like this. This is supposed to go there. Okay, are we correct with the coordinates, receiving students and 7Es? Have our friends, 4 friends, correctly plotted the coordinates on the chart? Yes or no, receiving students and 7Es? Yes. Let's see. A, coordinate, +2 and +1. Okay, yes, correct. What is the x-axis for the B coordinate? What's the x-axis for B coordinate? What's the x-axis? -1, okay? Is -1 correct? Yes. And y-axis is? Positive. So, is this coordinate correctly plotted? Yes. What about this? Receiving students? Okay, this is correct. And the last one, D? Okay, now let's have 4 students to come up on the chart or on the board and join the coordinates, the points here, not coordinates but the 4 points that has been plotted on the chart. So I would like 4 students. We have Agnes to join point C to D, which is this one, from C to D. Agnes. Our next friend, Daisy. Agnes, that's the point there. You have to put the point. Remove the magnet. Right on the point. Here. And down there. No. Oh, okay. Use this one first. Here. I think this is the correct one. Can you put it there? Is it correct? Where's the coordinate? Okay, just pull it on. Just pull him. Paste him up. D to D, D to A. On the point. Here. Put the point. Mark the point. And up there. Who's our next friend? Darrell. Darrell, I think yours is this one. Okay, Darrell. And JJ, the last person. JJ. From here to there. Okay. Now receiving students and 7 Our next activity is to find out what shape is being formed after joining the points, 4 points. Okay. Laylen. Laylen. Laylen.
Trapezium.
Okay, Laylen says trapezium. Receiving students and 7 if you look at the shape that is being formed is called trapezium. Trapezium is one of the quadrilateral which has 4 sides. So receiving students and 7 the shape that is formed by joining the 4 points is trapezium. Now receiving students and 7 for our lesson for today, our strand is on number and application. Our strand is number and application. Substrand, we are on new substrand, receiving students and 7 which is directed numbers. Our learning outcome, 7.1.7, using directed numbers in concrete problems. And our topic for today's lesson is addition of negative and positive numbers. Now receiving students and 7 before we go into our lesson for today, I would like to highlight some of the main points that we should know when we are adding positive and negative numbers. Now receiving students, with positive numbers, when to show positive numbers on the number line, the arrow indicates the arrow will always face to the right direction. In other words, positive integers or integer is shown by the arrow towards the right direction on the number line. So which means that on the number line, to show a positive number, the number is represented by arrow, and the direction of the arrow is always to the right direction. Okay, receiving students and 7 So if you see arrow going towards the right direction, you must know that that number or that integer is a positive integer on the number line. You can see an example there which is positive 4. Now positive 4 shown on the number line, which direction is it going? To the right. Where is it starting from? Starting from 0 and finishing at the unit 4. Now, likewise with negative integers, this time the arrow goes the opposite direction, which is left. So, on the number line, if you see arrow going towards the left direction, it means that the integer is a negative integer. Example, we have negative 6 there. Negative 6. How negative 6 can be shown on the number line? As you can see from the screen, negative 6 starts from 0 The arrow starts from 0 and then finish at -6 on the number line. So receiving students and 7 is, that's how positive and negative integers are represented on the number line. Arrow facing towards the right direction is always positive, and arrow pointing towards the left direction is always a negative integer. Now, to help us understand more on adding negative and positive integers, I would like us to look at this arrow here. This arrow will be very useful when you are adding negative and positive numbers or integers. Now, it is important that we should name the parts of the arrow, the sharp part and the part that is round or the part that is not sharp. The part which is the sharp part, or which has the arrow sign on it, that part there, we can name it as H. H, which means head. That's the head of the arrow. And the other end of the, or the other part of the arrow, which is that part, is the tail. We name it as tail. So T stands for tail and H stands for head. So remember head and tail of the arrow. Now let us look at one of the examples on adding integers. I have an example on the screen. What is the example? Class, can you read the example? How can we show that on the number line? Receiving students and 7 is. Let us look at this example. Now we have the number line. The first integer is positive 2. So, which direction is the arrow going? Left or right? Right. Starting from 0 and finishing at 2. Now, the length of the arrow is 2 units. Okay? That's why it is starting from 0 and finishing at 2. What is our second integer? Our second integer is positive 3. Now, this time, where does the arrow start? It begins at positive 2 and then where does it end? Positive 5. Now, if you look at the example there, we have head and tail being joined or connected together on the number line. Look at the 2 arrows there. Head, tail connected together. And I have indicated that with the letters. Now, receiving students and 7 is, I would like you to do this activity as your learning activity. I have one example there. And our example is you are going to add or show that on the number line by adding -3 plus -1. Receiving students, you should have been given your number line activity sheet which has a number line on it. For the model class, get into pairs and you will do your activity. So can I have members Okay. Can you paste yours up there? Those who are finished, you can paste yours up on the board. Come and get them on that side. Get the whiteboard markers. Yes. Now receiving students, you can see some of the work that has been done by receiving the model class. They have some of the answers here. They have used this activity sheet to show the -3 plus -1 on the number line. Now we will correct that using the big number line chart which is on the board here. Now receiving students and 7 is using this number line chart which I have on the board. Where do you think, what is the first integer? -3. So what will be the direction of the arrow? Towards the left or right? Okay, the direction of the arrow will be left. Now, starting from what number? 0. We will start from 0 and finish at -3. And what is our next second digit? 1. -1. -1. Now where will we start, or where will we start from? From -1. Now where will our next arrow start? 3. From -3. So receiving students, if the arrow starts, if the second arrow is -1 and it starts at -3, where do you think it will finish? It will finish at -4. So receiving students and 7-ish, you should have something like this shown on your number line. So your number line should look something like this. Okay, 2 arrows. As you can see, we have head and tail connected together. So when you want to show or when you want to add positive and negative integers using number line, the rule is for number line, using number line, the method is head for addition, head and tail must be connected together. So if you look at this example, we have head here, head of the arrow, and tail of the arrow, which the head of the arrow is connected to the tail of the arrow. So in other words, with addition, we connect the 2 arrows head to tail or by head to tail. Now receiving students, let us look at some of the work that is done by model students. Now you can see most of the work shown here by the model class, they have correctly done the activity. Now receiving students, we will go into our activity or the exercise. Receiving students and 7 is, our exercise is on the screen. Exercise 1, write the number sentence and answers suggested by the number line. Receiving students, when I say number line, number sentence, this is number sentence. This is what number sentence means. So you will have to write a number sentence like this for the exercise. So we have 2, for exercise 1 you have 1 A and B. You look at the number line A and B and try to write up the number sentence. So this is what number sentence is. You will write something like this for those 2 number lines A and B, exercise 1. You are not drawing a number line, you are only writing the number sentence with the correct answer. If you look at A, the direction of the 2 arrows are to the left, which means that the 2 numbers, the 2 integers are negative. You are adding 2 negative integers. If you look at B, the direction of the arrow is to the right, which means that you are adding 2 positive integers. Are we finished with exercise 1? Yes. Now our exercise 2, the last exercise. Calculate the number sentence. That is the number sentence. Calculate the number sentence using the rule. A, -9 plus -6, and B, -118 plus -127. Now, receiving students, we will correct the two exercise. I will have Shannon for 1A and our friend here for 1B. And Michaeline for 2A and John for 2B. Shannon, A. Not you write it straight in the straight, write it straight. That's okay, that's correct, but you write it straight. Huh? That's it. Okay. Okay, receiving students and 7s, let's look at the answers which have been given by our friend. 1A. Now, is our answer for 1A correct? Receiving students and 7s? I think it's correct. If you look at the number line, the first integer is 1, negative 1, which the arrow starts from 0 to negative 1. And our second integer is negative 4. Negative 4, which the arrow starts from negative 1 and finish at positive, negative 5. The arrow moves how many places? 4 places. So that's why our second integer is negative 4. And our answer is negative 5, which is correct. So 1A is correct, receiving student and 7s. Let us look at exercise B. 1B. Is our friend correct with their answer? Yes. And the number sentence? Okay. This number sentence is correct. Positive 6 plus positive 2 is equals to positive 8. That's how you should write the number sentence. 2A. Negative what? S or is or negative 15? Negative 15. Okay, Michaeline, when we are writing numbers, we must show numbers and not to be fancy, yeah? So, this is 5. This looks like S. Make sure you write the numbers. Thank you, Michaeline. So, the answer is negative 15. Okay, this answer is correct. Is this answer correct? 2B? Yes, negative 118 plus negative 127 is equals to negative 245. Now, receiving students, those are the answers to the two main exercises that we have done. Now, receiving students and 7s, we will look at our summary points. Our summary points, positive integer on the number line. The arrow is going towards the right direction. So positive integer on the number line is shown by the arrow going towards right direction. Don't forget that. With negative integer on the number line, the arrow is shown by the arrow going towards the left direction. So in other words, on the number line, if you see the arrow going towards left direction, you must know that the number is a negative integer. If it is going towards right direction on the number line, then that number or that integer is a positive. So the arrow indicates whether the integer is a positive or negative on the number line. Receiving students and 7 is our last summary point. When we are adding positive integers or negative integers, connect the two arrows by head to tail. As you can see, a demonstration or example being shown there. That's how you show adding of negative and positive integers on the number line. And if you are using the rule without number line, for the same signs, like if you are using positive and negative, negative and negative, adding negative and negative, or positive and positive integers, keep the signs and add the numbers. You keep the positive sign or negative sign and then you add the numbers. There is an example shown there. Negative 3 plus negative 1. We add the two numbers and then keep the sign. What is the sign common in both of those? Negative. Negative is the common. So we keep the sign. So our answer, we give the negative sign. So that's what the rule is really explaining. For same signs, keep the signs and add. With that, receiving students and 7 is our key phrase for today. Adding positive and positive, or positive and positive, and negative and negative. Our next lesson topic is addition of mixed signs and opposite integers. Adding a negative and a positive number and two opposite signs. Same number, but they will have different signs. And our material for the next lesson, receiving students and receiving teacher, number line chart. You should have something like this, receiving teacher, prepared for your class. And activity sheet. Receiving teacher, prepare an activity sheet like this for your lesson, next lesson for your class. So those two things should be prepared before we look at look at our next lesson. So receiving students and 7 is with that. This has bring us to the end of our lesson for today. Thank you very much for your participation.
You are welcome, Mr. Namari, and thank you for your lesson.
Thank you.